Welcome back to Power BI's free online training course. This is episode 4 and your host for today is again myself, Matt Dent. I really hope you're enjoying the series so far and it's been really helpful in getting you up to scratch with Power BI. But today I want to move on and I almost want to step back to review Power BI from the license aspect. So what does Power BI have on offer in terms of licenses? What do these really mean? Why can't you just use Power BI for free? Or maybe you can use Power BI for free. And that's the sort of discussion that we're going to have today to work out what license is right for you. If you followed through episode 1, you know you can download Power BI for free. But how does this limit you? Yes, it's free, and that's excellent. And that's fantastic if you are just one single user and you're just doing insight for yourself. Or you want to share that insight, but you're happy to do that through static images internally. You can distribute those fine, or maybe through PDFs. But what if you want to share in a bit more of a sophisticated way? Looks like you're going to have to pay for some sort of license. And that's where Power BI Pro comes in. Now, Power BI Pro is it's not expensive. Power BI Pro comes in at £7.50 per month. But what does this give you? It allows exactly what we just said about this sort of sharing capabilities. You also need a Power BI Pro license to share anything with someone, and a Power BI Pro license if you want to consume that, if you want to view those shared reports. I'm going to come on and speak about this Power BI Premium package now, before coming back on to sort of free versus pro, because I think that's what most people who are watching this video will really be interested in. Now, you can see Power BI Premium here, £3,766.60. Sounds like a lot of money. Well, if you're a large enterprise, it wouldn't take long to really rack up enough pro licenses to reach that sort of figure. So if you had a few developers, but you're distributing that to thousands of people, then the premium license allows those viewers to access that freely and move those reports around freely. But the developers themselves will still actually need a pro license individually. This has unlimited use for consumers, but what else is premium used for? What else? It must give you something else, surely. Well, it does. It has dedicated cloud computing storage capacity, which means fast reporting. If you've got hefty reports that have big data models, big resource needed, then that's for you. It starts at sort of 3 GB processing power and moves up from there. And there is more as well. This is just the starting price of premium, but there's additional sort of packages that go up from there, which allow you to do things like Power BI Embedded. So, for example, you don't want to share your Power BI reports on the Power BI in the Microsoft way, on the Power BI website. Fine, you can take those reporting out. You could put them into your own website. You could have your own dedicated service for this. And this all works through Power BI and Embedded license through an Azure portal. So you can also do things like ramp up and ramp down your capabilities and resources. I think there's sort of 4 different levels that they use, P1 to P4. But as I said earlier, most of us watching this will be more concerned about, do they need to get a Power BI Pro license, or are you happy with the free version? As I mentioned earlier, if you just want to play around with your data, delve into some insight, create some nice reports for yourself, amazing, don't spend a penny. I want to share these creations as static images, PDF files. You can send those around on emails, on your personal messaging service, whether that be Slack or Skype, whatever you do, fine, completely free. But want to share these reports so that they're interactive, so that people can filter down the data, people can export that data out and do something with it themselves, allow them to drill down. Yeah, you're going to have to start thinking about Pro. So you can share your reports up in the cloud. Microsoft will manage the capacity, the resource of that. It's all part of that license. You don't have to start paying for sort of storage capacities at all. So if you want to distribute with other users, peer-to-peer sharing, collaboration, and receive content from other people, then I think you're going to have to start thinking about the Pro license. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll sign in with my own account in the Power BI app and just sort of show you what that looks like. So once you have yourself set up with a Pro license, you would be able to log in. So you'll be able to see me here in the top right, matt.datacube.co.uk, and this is what the sort of space looks like. This is what you can share. So this just sits in your web browser, and also if I go to my home screen, there's a good little video you can watch here as well. Welcome to your Power BI home, which is on YouTube as well, called Getting Started with the Power BI Service. So you can feel free to go and check that out as well. Now I want to concentrate on those sharing capabilities. So let's take this as an example, something that we can all relate to, which is our wonderful grocery shop Power BI workbook we've been working on over the last few weeks. So first, what I'm going to do is I want to put this into that space online. So what I'm going to do is open up my the Power BI app, and I'm going to click on workspaces here, and I had actually made one earlier, but I'm going to delete that now just so we can all start fresh. So I'm going to click on workspaces here, and I'm going to create a brand new workspace, and I'm going to call this online training test. Now this is for testing for our videos. I'm not going to put an image up, but I'm going to save this, and what this does is it sets up a sort of a space which you can publish things into, and it's just for that project. So for example, we have separate workspaces for separate clients where we can put in the reports that we build for them. So under this test we can click, and because we don't have anything in here, it's brand new, we don't have any dashboards, we don't have any reports, workbooks, datasets, or any data flows. Now there's lots of things to talk about in here, so I'm dedicating a whole episode to that later in the series. But as you can see, I'm signed in as myself, and I now have an online training test workspace within that app. Now if I go back to our workbook, you can see I'm also signed in here, which you can do at the top right, as Matt Datacube. So it's the same account, and it will automatically be linking up. Now what I want to do is put this in that workspace. So I'm going to use this up on the toolbar, this publish button. So I click on that, and that will bring up all the workspaces that I have on in the Power BI app. So here already we can see the online training test. I'm going to select that, and what it's going to do is going to publish our entire workbook here up into the web browser as a report, so we can see it online. And hopefully this won't take too long because it's quite a small one. And great, we've got a green tick, success. So got it. Let's go back to our web browser, and I haven't even refreshed my page, but there it is, Grocery Shop Power BI episode 4. It's just called what you've named it in the actual Power BI desktop. So if I click on that, we'll see that it's exactly where we left off. So whatever you save in Power BI, that's going to come up first. And the great thing about this, as I mentioned before, it's interactive. So you can still click on things, you can still use filters, our tooltips still work, so when we hover over, you'll remember those filters we set up before. So we can play with those, we can add button-up squash back into the equation, and that will get carried over where we use those filters in other sheets. So now on this scatter chart, button-up squash being selected. So it's really good for being able to actually use the interactivity that Power BI has in its desktop version, but being able to use that actually online. Now I'm going to do a whole episode on all the sort of functionality you have here, but we're talking about what's the point in Power BI Pro? And it's, for most of us, it will be that sort of sharing capability. So that's what we're going to talk about now. So top right here, you can see we have a share button. So I can click on that, and it straight away comes up with that message saying only users with Power BI Pro will have access to this report. So as I said, you can distribute with a Power BI Pro license, but if you'll consume those reports, if you want to be able to play with them, you also need to have a Power BI Pro license. So both ends of the users here need that Pro license. So just say I wanted to share this with Hells. It actually came up there for me. So here she is at Data Cubed, and I can say here's our test online training report. Have a play. There's even some mapping. And we've got some that you can add as many email addresses here as you want. And there's some extra options here. So I can say allow recipients to share the report. So if I know Helen wants to share that with someone else who has a Pro license, absolutely fine. She can build her own content using the underlying data set, so she can export that data out and send the email notifications to the recipient. So I can say, Helen, I want you to be notified of this in your inbox, and I can tick this to include my changes. And if not, I can just copy and paste this link out and share that. So if I press share on here, I'm actually going to turn this off because it's just a test and she doesn't need to know. You'll see here your report has been successfully shared. Now under here, under that sharing box, we can see who now has access to this report. So I can see I do and Helen does. And access here, you can change, a bit like in a normal document, you can provide them just like read-only access, or maybe you want them to be able to amend things, reshare. You can change that and remove access entirely, or manage their permissions here. And there's loads of different options that you can do, which we'll get to, as I said, in a later episode. Hope you enjoyed that episode and it was informative to really help you decide, can I blast on the free license, which is great, or do I maybe need to think about upgrading, whether that be to Pro, most likely, or to something even bigger and more expensive. So make sure you like a video, subscribe to the channel. Hope these are becoming informative. Next week we're going to be speaking about data modes, so the mode that Power BI is when you import your data set and sort of what influence that has on you later down the line. So be sure to stick around for that one next week. Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks.